Welcome to the Real Estate Finder podcast. I'm Matthew Maschler, real estate broker with the signature real estate companies here in the great state of Florida. And with me, my number one sales agent, the realtor of the year for 2021, 2022, 2020, whatever, Jill Glanzer. Hi, Jill. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. Happy to be here.
That's great to hear. Wanted to talk to you about this weekend. You did the Battle of the Bands?
Yes, I was the band manager for season 6 of the Golden Bell Education Foundation's Battle of the Bands, which is the nonprofit arm of the Boca Raton Chamber of Commerce. It raises funds for schools in Boca Raton K through 12 public schools.
Okay, so there was a lot there.
Yes.
Golden Bell Education Fund.
The Golden Bell Education Foundation.
All right, so you did a Battle of the Bands. It was a fundraiser.
Yep.
The Golden Bell Education Foundation.
Correct.
It's a lot of money.
Yes, it was an amazing event. So basically they get groups of 4 or 5 professionals to create a band who've they've never played that instrument before. Mm-hmm. They learn the instrument at School of Rock and they form a band together and they play one song and they practice it for literally about 12 weeks and then they put on a show.
Now you competed once in the bands. You were the drummer.
Yes, I was the drummer in 2022 for season 4. And my band was called 4 Chicks and a Dude. Came in maybe second. There was no second place winner. There's only 2 winners. There's the biggest the best fundraiser who raises the most money, and the best band.
The best band, I believe you came second.
Okay, thank you so much.
But this year, you came in first.
This year, my band that I managed, Fever Pitch, came in first place. It was incredible.
First place for fundraising or first place for
First place for performance.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. It's one of the things about Real Estate Finder. We're a team of winners.
Yes.
Whatever, not just real estate, not just getting your houses sold for the most money and your offers accepted. In everything that we do, we try to hire winners and encourage people on our team to be winners. So
absolutely.
Fever Pitch won the Golden Bell Battle of the Bands.
Yes, it was awesome. It was super inspiring, amazing night. It was probably the best Battle of the Bands I've been to.
And where was it? Was it at Linden University?
It was actually at the Boca Raton Innovation Campus, BRIC. Yes, great. Which was the home of where the personal computer was made. I think IBM was housed there.
IBM moved their corporate offices from, I believe, Rochester, New York to Boca Raton, Florida in the 70s. And what was the name of what's the name of the middle school in military? Don Estridge.
Don Estridge
worked for IBM and he invented the personal computer right here in Boca Raton, Florida.
Yeah, we have quite a history here.
Yeah, so that was great. The Battle of the Bands. Things keep going well in Boca. Boca's winning.
Yes, definitely winning.
All right. So speaking of winning, you have a new listing.
Yep, I have a new listing.
It has a leaky roof.
So it's not leaking per se, but it is an original roof from 1996. It's a tile roof.
It's a perfectly good roof. It is not leaking. It works when there's a rain. We just had a big storm, the Hurricane Helen.
Right.
No water intrusion.
Right, no water intrusion.
It's just old.
It's just old.
So, got a nice house with an old roof.
Yes. So what happens is everybody that comes to see the house, realtors, will call me and immediately say, how old is the roof? Even though it's very clearly written in the MLS and in all the remarks that are advertised.
That's why they ask.
But they ask.
That's why they ask. They see the disclaimer that it's an old roof and they want to call. They want to ask something, right? There's no reason to call.
Right.
If you want to see the house, come see the house. Right. But they want to call and they say, is the roof really as old? As
you said, is it really original?
Just looking for an excuse to call.
And they think, and then their next sentence is, well, I don't even know if it can be insured because the roof is so old.
And I there was a podcast that I recorded recently when I talked about marketing, right? We're talking about insurability. We don't even know if your client hasn't even seen the house yet. We don't even know if they like it.
Right.
If they're going to agree to terms. Right? That's the first thing you want to talk about is insurability.
Right.
Come see the house and see if you like it. And if you're curious about insurability, during the inspection period, get an estimate for insurance.
Right. And then they're waiting for you to speak. Right? They want to see if you'll go, well, it's negotiable. No, I don't say anything. Let them ask me the question. What question are you asking me?
Right.
You know, like you're telling me something, you're stating something that may or may not be a fact, and you're not really asking me a question.
Right.
So it could be frustrating because they immediately want to take the amount of the roof off the price of the house and, you know, and make an offer, a really low offer.
Right. And how much is the house?
So the house is now listed at $440. It was listed at $470. And, you know, they wanted to, and it's a very large lot, right? So it's an oversized corner lot. So I priced it accordingly. And it's a really nice house. It does need a little bit of work, but it has been renovated maybe like 15 years ago. Parts of it were renovated, so it's very nice. It's got a great layout, but they immediately want to try to negotiate with me either before they show it or right after they show it, before they're willing to submit an offer. I said, why don't you write an offer? Well, I don't want to waste your and my time. Isn't that what your job is? Like, to write an offer?
Isn't that what you're doing right now? But
Right. Like, just write the offer and let's start the conversation. Let's talk to the seller because I have no clue what your terms are. I have no clue if your customer even likes it, but we're having a conversation. So it can be a little frustrating.
So I think, I don't know if you're coming in, we talked about, like, you know, earlier in the week about this, and you said we'll talk about it in the podcast.
Yeah.
Is there a question?
So the question is this: is it actually not insurable?
Get a quote.
Right.
Call Gina.
Right.
Gina Prizzi from what
Gina is with John Galt Insurance. Yes.
An insurance quote.
Right. I'm going to do that. I'm working on that.
Currently, there is insurance.
Right. There is insurance currently on the home.
Get an insurance quote. So step one is get an insurance quote.
Right.
Step two, maybe get a quote for a roof.
Right.
So that if someone wants to knock $50,000 off the price, but the roof is only $32,000.
Right.
All right, maybe get a quote on it.
So she has a quote from about a year ago that was $40,000. So I asked her for it, and she said she didn't have it. Yeah. So I said, "Can you give me the name of the roofer? I'll call him, and that's a great price for this roof."
Well, we don't know if prices went up.
Right.
You know, and we don't know what a year ago meant. Was it 3 years ago?
Yeah, right. Well, she said it was a year ago.
A year ago, my kids had their bar mitzvah.
Right. Let me ask you this, though. Should the house... Okay, what do you think's better, Matt?
Yeah.
Do you think it's better to price the house and then offer a rebate for the roof? Or do you think it's better to price the house low because of the roof?
If you price the house low because of the roof, people are still going to try to knock it down.
Take off $40,000.
Still going to try to knock it down.
Right.
So I would keep the price high.
And should we do a rebate or no? Because no one's going to see it. Like, to me, a rebate is in broker remarks. I guess you could put it in public remarks. I'm being very literal and specific here.
When you say nobody's going to see it, certainly someone who's interested in the house, who's making an offer, would see it.
Right.
Again, you don't have to load everything up in the advertising. Load everything up in the before the showing.
Right.
I like to negotiate after the showing.
Right.
So put something in the broker remarks that says that they're, seller to offer $15,000 credit towards purchase of a new roof. The problem is that then you have issues with the bank and with financing.
Right.
I would, the first thing, this is what I would do. First, I would get a quote.
Right.
You could get a quote, then there's no problem.
Right.
Then I would call Mike McGill, the re-roofer.
Right.
Because he can come in and he can do an inspection and he can certify if the roof is in good working order, and he can certify the roof for the next 3 to 5 years. Then you can get a mortgage, you can get insurance, and you know that the roof is working.
Right.
So get an insurance quote and get a quote from Mike, and have an inspection from Mike McGill, the re-roofer, and get a certification. Then if you get his certification, and if he certifies that it's good for 3 to 5 years, put that certification in the broker remarks.
Right.
And then don't say anything else ever again.
But there are people who will be like, I don't really want to buy a house that I have to replace the roof on in 3 years.
No matter what house you buy, you will eventually have to replace the roof.
Eventually. Yes, of course.
So,
okay.
So if you want to buy a house now, you can buy this house now, and you don't have to worry about the roof for several years.
Right. Right.
It's forever.
Right.
Because again, you can do it in 5 years. You have Mike McGill come out and inspect the roof. I was told 15 years ago I had to changing my roof. Half the houses, I'd say 5 years ago, 15 years ago, about a quarter of the houses on my street redid their roofs. By 5 years ago, more than half have redone their roof.
Right.
My roof works. I get it inspected every 3 years.
Right.
My roof works. We just went through this hurricane.
Right.
I'm not getting a new roof.
Why should you, right?
One of the things that happens is 80% of the roof doesn't do the hard work. It's 20%
of the roof.
It gets all the corners.
Right.
And where the pitches beat that do the hard work. So that's the stuff that has to be replaced. So I replaced 20% of my roof.
Right.
With mine.
Right.
So my roof is good for 3 to 5 years. I'll inspect it again. But most of the roof, the big swaths of the roof, those parts are fine.
Right. So there was another listing in the neighborhood that's similar to ours, not as updated, but similar. I mean, yeah, at some point it doesn't really matter what year you updated it.
The one in Boynton Beach?
Yeah. That priced the house very low at like $415. And she said to me, the reason I priced it that way is it needs a new roof. And she did. She got an offer within 20 days.
Okay.
Like it worked.
For $415.
I don't know if the offer's $415, but it went under contract. I don't know what the offer is yet until it closes. So she priced it that way. So my question in my mind was, well, do you price it really low and people just know like it's an original roof, it's priced accordingly, or do you keep it high? Like it's kind of a quandary.
I would, if you can get an insurance quote and you get an insurance company to say that the house is insurable,
right,
and you get the roof inspection done and you can get the roof to be certified,
right,
then I think you're fine.
Okay.
You move on as if there's no problem.
Right.
Right. If there's a problem, right? If you can't get insurance, or if you can't, or if this guy tells you, man, this roof is shot, then you have to price it. Actually, the thing is, I still want to price it high and give it credit, so that way the buyer can finance the whole thing. Right? I wouldn't want to sell it for $415. Now the buyer has to go out of pocket $40,000.
Right.
Sell for $455 and give it credit.
Right.
That way the buyer.
And I did just lower it.
Yeah.
But like not really low, but I lowered it.
$440.
Yeah.
That way the buyer can finance the $440 and he can do the roof later.
Right. Right. With this certification and all that. Yeah.
With the credit.
Right.
Right. With the credit for the seller. So
yeah.
That's how I'd go forward there.
Okay. Awesome.
Hey, also, one more thing since I have you. Do you know about the new law regarding the flooding disclosures?
You know, I just got that from a friend of mine who's an attorney, just sent me this disclosure this morning.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's because really homeowners insurance does not include flood insurance. So if your home is damaged in a flood, regular homeowners insurance does not cover it.
And the craziest thing is this new law just went into effect, I think October 1st, and we had all this flooding at the end of September.
Right.
I mean, it was crazy this new law went into effect. But anyway, so there's a new law. It's basically a disclosure.
Right.
So a lot of people are putting it with their offers.
Okay.
And at Signature, that's one of the things we're doing.
Right.
Putting the disclosure in. We're putting the disclosure in the offer for the seller to sign.
Okay, so if you're representing the buyer, you're making an offer, you're including this flood disclosure.
Yeah. So a little bit, I think that's the opposite because it's a seller obligation to disclose.
Right.
So why would the buyer say, "Hey, Mr. Seller, make sure that you disclose this thing that you're required to disclose"? I think as a seller you should. So we'll talk about it later, but what I think we should do is put it in the listing agreements.
Oh.
And then
how about the seller's disclosure too?
Or the seller's disclosure. My preference with the seller's disclosure is take a listing. After you get the listing signed, you ask the seller to do the disclosure.
Right.
Because it gives the seller something to do while you're getting the house ready to put in the MLS, while you're waiting for photos, and while you're getting all your marketing. It's like when I throw a little ball to Nugget to distract him while I go do something else.
Right.
Give the seller's disclosure to work on while you're working on your marketing and getting your photos and getting the thing listed in the MLS.
Right.
So yeah, add that to the seller's disclosure.
As long as they actually do it.
Well, make them do it. They have to do it.
Right.
So make them do it as disclosure, and then you just add all of that into the documents in the MLS, and you satisfied your flood disclosure.
Right.
Okay. So yeah, that's what we have for today. Battle of the Bands, a bunch of winners.
Yeah.
An old roof, not necessarily a bad roof. And
flood disclosures. Awesome.
All right, thanks for joining us on the Real Estate Finder podcast. Check out all of Jill's listings at realestatefinder.com.
Yes, and give me a call at 561-558-4380 if you have any questions on real estate here in sunny South Florida.
It's almost that time. Light shows, cameras flash when I pass. Living in the moment, forget about the past. They save the best for last.